For a long time, I believed that eating like a bodybuilder was something only people with money could afford. I thought you needed premium cuts of meat, endless supplements, and a grocery bill that looked more like a monthly subscription than food. And if you're being honest, you probably thought the same thing. You've looked at your bank account, looked at your goals, and quietly decided that eating properly just wasn't realistic right now. That's why I decided to run this experiment. For 7 days, I ate like a bodybuilder on a tight budget. No fancy foods, no supplements carrying half the cost, just real meals, real calories, and real priorities. What surprised me wasn't just how affordable it was, but how much better I felt mentally and physically by the end of the week. And today, I want to walk you through exactly what I learned, what I ate, and why most people completely misunderstand what it means to eat like a bodybuilder in the first place. Let's start with the biggest lie people believe. Most people think bodybuilders eat perfectly. They imagine 6 meals a day, all measured, all clean, all expensive. Steak, salmon, exotic fruits, specialty protein bars. And because that image feels impossible, people never even try. But here's the truth. Bodybuilders don't grow because their food is fancy. They grow because their food is consistent. Muscle doesn't care about brand names. It cares about protein, calories, and recovery. The first thing I realized during this experiment is that most people fail before they start because they chase perfection instead of consistency. They try to copy the diets of professional athletes who train full-time and have sponsorships, instead of building a plan that fits their own life and budget. That's mistake number 1. The plan collapses under its own weight. The second mistake people make is overpaying for protein. When people hear protein, they think steak, chicken breast, protein powder, and nothing else. So they buy the most expensive option, panic when the budget runs out, and quit. But protein is one of the most flexible nutrients there is. Eggs, canned fish, chicken thighs, Greek yogurt, dry beans and lentils, these foods are cheap, effective, and proven. Muscle does not know the difference between a premium steak and a cheaper cut of meat once digestion happens. It only cares about amino acids. The third mistake is undereating calories to save money. This one is subtle but destructive. People cut portion sizes too aggressively because they're trying to stretch food longer. But low calories mean low energy. Low energy mean weaker workouts. Weaker workouts mean no muscle growth. Then cravings explode later, and suddenly money is spent on snacks instead of meals. Saving money by undereating is like trying to save gas by pushing your car instead of driving it. You don't get anywhere. The fourth mistake people make is assuming cheap food equals bad food. Yes, junk food is cheap, but so are some of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. Rice, potatoes, oats, frozen vegetables. These foods have fueled athletes and hard-working people for generations. They're not trendy, but they work. By day 3 of this experiment, something clicked for me. I stopped thinking about food all day. That constant mental noise disappeared. Because my meals were planned, simple, and repeatable, decision fatigue vanished. I wasn't asking myself what I could afford or what I should eat. I already knew. That mental clarity alone was worth the experiment. So here's the framework I followed for all 7 days. I focused on 3 priorities and ignored everything else. First, I hit my protein target every single day, not perfectly, but consistently. Second, I ate enough calories to train hard and recover. Third, I kept meals simple, boring, and repeatable. That's it. No magic. Protein came first. Affordable protein. Eggs became a staple, cheap, versatile, and packed with nutrients. Chicken thighs instead of chicken breasts saved money without sacrificing protein. Canned tuna and sardines were easy wins. Greek yogurt provided protein and digestion-friendly calories. Dry beans and lentils stretched meals further and added fiber.
Even ground meat mixed with rice turned one portion into 2 meals. From a biological perspective, this works because muscle growth is driven by amino acid availability. Your body breaks protein down into amino acids and uses them to repair and build muscle tissue. It doesn't care about the shape, color, or price tag of the food. It cares about consistency over time. Carbohydrates were the second pillar of this experiment. And this is where eating on a budget becomes almost unfairly effective. Rice, oats, potatoes, pasta, bread, these foods are extremely cheap per calorie and incredibly effective for fueling training. Without carbs, workouts suffer, strength drops, motivation drops, and when training intensity drops, muscle growth slows. Many people try to save money by cutting carbs, but that's one of the worst strategies you can use if your goal is performance and growth. Carbs are not the enemy, they're fuel. Cutting them doesn't make you disciplined, it makes you tired. Fats came mostly from whole food sources: eggs, cooking oils, peanut butter, cheap, calorie-dense, and essential for hormone health. This combination created meals that were satisfying, filling, and affordable. And here's what surprised me the most. Eating this way didn't feel restrictive, it felt structured. There's a difference. Restriction feels like punishment. Structure feels like control. Because meals were predictable, I wasn't constantly thinking about food. I wasn't negotiating with myself at every meal. That freed up mental energy for training, work, and life. From a science perspective, this approach works because muscle growth depends on three things: adequate protein, sufficient energy, and progressive training stimulus. When those boxes are checked, the body adapts. Fancy foods don't accelerate that process. Consistency does. By day 5, cravings dropped dramatically. Energy was stable throughout the day. Training felt stronger. Pumps were better. Recovery improved. But the biggest shift wasn't physical, it was mental. I stopped associating eating well with stress. That's when I realized the real advantage of budget bodybuilding meals. Simplicity creates freedom. When food stops being entertainment and starts being fuel, everything gets easier. This doesn't mean you can never enjoy food. It means your base diet should support your goals without draining your wallet or your willpower. As the week went on, I started refining the process. I learned to buy foods that scale: large bags of rice, frozen vegetables instead of fresh ones that spoil quickly, bulk eggs. These purchases lowered the cost per meal dramatically. I learned not to chase variety, but to cycle it. 2 or 3 main meals rotated throughout the week kept things interesting without creating chaos. I learned to budget protein first, then build meals around it. If protein was covered, everything else fell into place. I also learned to ignore fitness marketing entirely. Supplements, protein snacks, and convenience foods are where budgets go to die. They're marketed as essential, but they're optional at best. Whole foods win every time. And one of the most important lessons was to think weekly, not daily. Budget eating works best when you zoom out. One slightly more expensive day balances out a cheaper one. Perfection isn't required. Consistency is. By the end of 7 days, the conclusion was obvious. Eating like a bodybuilder doesn't require money. It requires priorities. When you stop chasing perfection and start focusing on fundamentals, progress becomes affordable. Protein doesn't need a brand. Carbs don't need a label. And discipline doesn't mean suffering. It means choosing systems that you can repeat. If you've been holding yourself back because you think eating better costs too much, here's your challenge. Build 1 week of meals using cheap protein, simple carbs, and repeatable foods. Don't overthink it. Track how you feel. Track your training. Track your energy. You might be surprised by how quickly things change. And if you want more real-world fitness strategies that actually work without hype or pressure, subscribe to the channel. If you want, leave a comment and I'll break down the exact grocery list and weekly cost from this experiment. Eating like a bodybuilder isn't about money, it's about understanding what actually matters. And once you understand that, everything gets simpler.